Hey everybody, it's Galmadex, and welcome back to my final early access premiere draft of Lorwyn Eclipsed. Thanks again to Wizards of the Coast for providing me with this promotional early access event entry. And without further ado, with that disclaimer out of the way, let's get back into the brand new Lorwyn set. We're starting with a sweet rare, the Sapling Nursery. We want to play a very heavy green deck, primarily green so that we can get that affinity for forests and cast this Sapling Nursery as early as possible. That way, every time we play a land, we get a 3/4 Tree Folk with reach and absolutely absurd landfall ability. We can also exile this to give all of our Tree Folk and forests indestructible till end of turn, but that is really a last-ditch effort. That is a last resort because we want to keep it around to keep getting more Tree Folk as the game progresses. So if we're mono green and we have 4 forests on the board, this is double green and 2, so 4 mana total. It's the cheapest we can play it for on curve. Probably not going to be mono green though, because we see a really fun black rare that plays well in the black green archetype. Black green is an elves deck, but it also has a lot of self mill. There's plenty of elf cards that care about what's in your graveyard, and so plenty of elf cards that will mill to trigger cards like Moonshadow potentially to remove those -1/-1 counters from it. Get a really big menacer for cheap. So I'm going to take the Moonshadow here. Try to head towards black-green. Pick number 3. All right, I mean, how can you not take Doran to go with your Tree Folk rare? I'll tell you how we can not take Doran to go with our Tree Folk rare. Our Tree Folk rare wants us to be as close to monocolored as possible, and if I take Doran, we're in a third color. But we could take the Doran and take a bunch of Great Forest Druids to help splash them in. I cannot resist. I'm going to take the Doran here. I mean, Doran's like a 5/10 on his own. Because he gets +X/+X every time he attacks or blocks, where X is the difference between the power and toughness, which is 5. Turns all of the mana dorks, the 0/4s, into massive creatures. The Wayfinders as well get a +1/+1 buff. Wayfinder looks like a pretty big pickup here now that we're playing a third color, but Pummeler for hire also just looks like a really good rate. 5 mana, 4/4, Vigilance Reach, Ward 2, Gain 4 when it enters. I don't think I can pass up Pummeler for hire. Pick number 5. Bog Slither's Embrace is a really efficient removal spell. I like that quite a bit. And I think I'm going to take that here. Taking it over Wickermaw, that would help splash Doran in, and is also good with Doran, having 2 more toughness than power. Twilight Diviner's really narrow, interestingly enough. Whenever 1 or more other creatures control enter, if they entered or were cast from a graveyard, you create a token copy of them. But some of the graveyard recursion stuff in the set exiles it, and then you cast it from exile, which doesn't technically work with this, but it's really good with like the black-white Tree Folk. Speaking of Tree Folk, Tend the Springs is actually looking pretty good for what we're doing right now, but gotta take some good removal. Pick 6. There's some reasonable cards here, but not really what I'm trying to do. I could just grab a Keep Out for removal, although white's probably the splash, green-black at the core. I guess the Dawnhand Eulogist, more of that self-mill to go with the Moonshadow and the black-green elves stuff in general. Maybe Eulogist here over Vinebred Brawler. Pick 7. Scarblade Scout is like the perfect 2-drop. It's a 2/2 lifelinker on curve that helps mill as well. If you play turn 1 Moonshadow, turn 2 Scout, probably buffing the Moonshadow. Again, there's that Tend the Springs, which I think looks pretty reasonable here too, because it can help splash white. And we're like a later game deck that can have the 7 lands out and get the Tree Folk out of it. But I'm still going to take Scout there. Informant, another early elf that can trigger Moonshadow. Beautiful. And we do want to take more green cards. We need to get deeper on green for this nursery. So Informant's actually the better 2-drop for this deck than the Scarblade Scout, just to keep green. It's a more primary color. Safe Right Cavalry is a solid body, great activated ability, and a good creature type. Over just a Kithkin. Yeah, I'm not taking a Kithkin in here. Unfortunately, I don't think we're wheeling any of the 2-mana 0/4 tree folk that tap for a mana of any color. Those would be absolutely perfect with the Doran, but they're also just really solid in a lot of decks, so they're hard to get late. +3/+3, draw a card if we cast this during our turn. None of this looks very good, honestly. Rather just grab an elf. First 3-mana card, too. Alright, that is a late safe right. This is a great card for the elf deck. If an elf ends up in your grave, this is a 2-mana creature that's a 3/3 during your end step, then a 4/4 the turn after, then a 5/5, and so on. Got a late safe right cavalry as well. Another card I think looks reasonable for elves. This looks like a good pod for green-black. Ooh, would we get Figure of Fable, a filthy card for any green or white deck. We're going to be much heavier in the green than the white, but even splashing the white, we can use our random splashed in planes for Doran on this as well. If you level this up to level 3, where it's a 7/8, it has protection from all of your opponent's spells, just everything that they have, and it just eats them alive in 3 swings easy. Great rare to open up. Come on in, Figure of Fable. How does that happen? That is criminal. 2 copies of Figure of Fable were opened right next to each other, and so they both go right into my grubby little hands. This pack doesn't look great. No removal spells. The creatures are like 4 mana where I'm already pretty clumped up. I suppose the Blackthorn's not bad in here, and it plays super well with Doran. Yeah, that's fun. Another tree folk for Doran. Once the Figure of Fable levels up, it also plays well with Doran. It's got 1 more toughness and power. It'll get +1/+1. Okay. Ooh, I like the mana ramp of the Lissalana Dignitary a lot. Help us get to that sapling nursery early. If we've got an elf in our grave, and we're going to be playing all the self-mill elf stuff. Yeah, I like that. There's no removal in black or green. We could splash in Protective Response, which wouldn't be that bad because we have double Figure to help convoke it as well. So those help splash it into. I'm a little tempted to take Protective Response, considering how low we are on removal, just 1 Blackthorn, but I think Dignitary also looks awesome getting to Nursery, so I'll take that Dignitary. We'll see how it pans out for us. Pick 5, no removal. There's a 2-drop green creature. It's a good color for us, or there's a good elf to mill with the Stoic Grove Guide. I'm not going to splash in Thoughtweft Lieutenant. I mean, what if I were to splash the other way around? Is that a thing? No, we've got Moonshadow at 1. Yeah, we're not splashing black. Black's the core color. Take the Grove Guide, actually, on that one. Ooh, and there we go. Rewarded with Morkant's Loyalist, an incredible elf. Buffs your whole board of elves, so it's an elf lord, and picks up an elf from your grave when it dies. Good stuff. Fills out the curve well, too. 3 mana is where we really need something. Oh, they reprinted Slippery Boggle. That's a really funky artwork, too. That is a cool Slippery Boggle. I like that. We'll just grab another elf here. Though, Wayfinder or Tend to the Springs both look good. Kind of like the Wayfinder. So there's another elf that can end up in my grave if I mill it over. Another Grove Guide. Another Blackthorn. We've got a whole deck. We've got 23 cards here as we move into pack number 3, but what we need is removal spells. We just cut some creatures for removal, and then we'll have a beautiful deck. So pack 3, all we need is removal. We have really good creatures throughout the curve. So what do we have? Removal. Perfect. Bog, Slither's Embrace. 1 in black, exile a creature. If we put a -1/-1 counter on our board, we will take that, and what shall we cut for it? None of the cheap creatures. Probably a 4 or 5 mana card. Likely a 5 mana card. Well, then it would make sense to cut a Blackthorn. Actually, I'll cut this Embrace. I don't think this card's that good. Although that just keeps us with the same problem of massive creature count, 20 creatures. Do we have any removal spells here? Nope. So the creature count grows. 2 mana, 1/1. Oh, it's literally Bloom Tender. They literally reprinted Bloom Tender. 2 mana, 1/1, tap for a green at worst. Is good in this deck already. So I'll take that, cut a 4. Cut a Cavalry. Get a 4 mana Elf rare. So Behold an Elf and exile it. So exile an Elf from our hand or from the board. Then whenever we cast any creature, we draw a card, and when this dies, we get the Elf back. Is there any removal here again? Auntie's Sentence's sorcery speed -2/-2. That barely counts as removal. Shimmer Wild's Growth for ramp is good, though. It ramps and fixes for the Doran. But at this point, we might just be a no Doran, just great streamlined 2-color deck. Sad as it is. I mean, yeah, we're just getting past Elf rares all over the place. I should probably just cut Doran then. Can have more forests in our deck if we cut our plains. I'm going to ruin somebody's day with that choice, but I think it's the right one. Well, there's another Wayfarer, though. Or Wayfinder, though, if we want to do that. Midnight Tilling is good with our Moon Shadow. It's also good with our Lewin. Once lands in our grave to start spitting out a bunch of worms. Take that over a Boggart. There we go. We really needed more removal. Here's a Blight Rot. Perfect. All right, I genuinely think the cuts are Wayfinder and Doran here. And there may be some black spells to get deeper in green for Nursery. We didn't get any of the 2 mana Tree Folk to go with the Doran, so we weren't going to be like a super fun Doran deck either way. The curve of like 2 mana 0/4 Tree Folk that taps for mana of any color into turn 3 Doran, we just don't get to live that dream. Everybody was taking those. We'll take another removal spell here with Bog Slither's Embrace. Drop the Doran package. Go all in on creatures here. I kind of want to take another Soul Ring Elf. I'm only on 4 removal spells, but that's such a surge in mana. Run that in here, run another Elf in here. Cut some black cards. Cut these black thorns too, since I'm not on the Doran plan. We don't have any synergies for that card. A card is really, really good when you do have synergies, but this is not the deck for him, I think. Okay. Got 1 or 2 cards. Double Dignitary. We have double Dignitary, Midnight Tilling, and Lewin that can all draw a land. I think I can cut to 16 lands. Cutting all creatures right now, right? Because even Sapling Nursery is basically creatures. Yeah, oh my god, yeah. 20 creatures in here. Got a little bit more black. Got one of the Grove Guides. Maybe one of these Archers too. 4/2 for 3 is rough. They trade down into 2 mana, 2/1s and 2/2s and stuff. But I do still want some 3 drops, so we'll cut one of those Archers too. Okay. You know what? I'm going to cut another Archer. I just really don't like that stat line. I'm going to run the Mill Yourself Eulogist over it. The Life Drain Eulogist. Okay. Green, Black, Elves is how we are going to wrap up the Lorwyn Eclipsed early access drafts. It's a super sweet one too. We got that sapling nursery that can take over the game with all those landfall tree folk hitting the board. We've got 2 Figure Fable that can win the game. We've got a Moon Shadow with some self-mill. There are a lot of ways for this deck to absolutely crush with the right rare. So very, very powerful deck. Super happy and super excited to see how it does. So without further ado, let's hop into the gameplay. Mono black opening hand is real awkward. This hand would be insane with green, but Lewin can find a forest potentially, so I'm going to keep it. And hope. Our first draw was pretty bad. This would have been a great mill for Lewin. Our second draw was also pretty bad. Okay. There's our forests. Wow, 4 lands. If Lewin lives, that's crazy. We somehow have no elves engraved for these dignitaries, sadly. But I think our opponent's having issues too. They just don't have a 3rd land. There they go, blue source. I think they were on the play. I might be wrong there. Play the Eulogist to try to get an elf engrave, and if we do, we can play Dignitary number 2 off of the first Dignitary. Although Champions of the Perfect is better the earlier you cast it, because then you draw cards off all your other casts. Yeah, I should lead with Champions to go for card draw here. They're going to Tweeze Lewin, which activates the Dignitary, which they're not very happy about, which is probably what all that thinking was about. They're like, well, we gotta kill this before they get to 5 mana, or that's a million worms, but then it activates my mana, it unlocks my mana, so that I can now cast Champions and another Dignitary. Draw a card immediately. Changeling Wayfinder get a 1/2 and look for a basic land. They find another island and play it. Play the Eulogist here. Actually just attacking, right? These dignitaries, depending on what I draw. Mill 3, drain them for 2, drop a scout, draw a card. I could mill out if I go too crazy with all my self-mill cards. Wow. That was a turn. Yeah, that's fair enough. We are 1-0 off of insane stuff from double Soul Ring Elf there. 1-0 heading into game 2. Alright, here we are for game 2. There is a big gap in this mana curve, but we got both our colors, and I'm going to keep it. We got Moon Shadow turn 1. Followed by Eulogist turn 4 as the next play. But perfect draw is perfect. We find the Scarblade Scout that can try to get a counter onto the Moon Shadow. Our opponent had an Evolving Wilds, which is another one of the good synergies for the Moon Shadow. If you have a Moon Shadow on the board, when you crack your Evolving Wilds, you do get to remove a -1/-1 counter from it, which is pretty sweet. There's tons of good ways to use this card. I'm a pretty big fan. All the self-mill elves, the discard and draw, the sack a land to grab a land. Moon Shadow's a fun one. Requires a tiny bit of building around, but only the smallest amount will get you there. You just need to remove 1 counter from it, and you've got a 1 mana 2/2 menace. And there you go. 1 mana 2/2 menace. Noggle Robber is here. Okay. Let's drop the Creekwood thing. That'll be a 3/3. Get our menace damage in. Good stuff. Just overstatted, undercosted creatures this game. There's Gangly Stompling. Are they going to crack their treasure to have it shoot my moon shadow or my safe right? Probably have to shoot this moon shadow, because if they shoot the safe right, then the moon shadow is now a 3/3 menace. And then if I mill anymore, it's a 4/4 menace. So on. There is the 1 and a green, one of your creatures shoots another creature removal spell in the set, which is probably what they're doing here, based on all the highlighting going on. There it is. Kill the moon shadow. Fair enough. We find a land. Drop this Eulogist and drain them a little bit. Holding off on safe right till it's like a 5/5, I think. Tend the Springs will grab them their 7th land or tree folk to get the 3/4. Great stuff. There's Bog Slither's Embrace to exile something. None of these are like must be killed threats right now, so I think I'm going to hold on to that. Just drop Pummeler for hire. Gotta whittle down the board. We get rid of the Noggle Robber. Here is... Actually play the Grove Guide. Play the more expendable creatures first still. Dundulin Weaver. Return any permanent from their grave to hand. Yeah, that card's really good. 2 mana, Eternal Witness, kinda. It is only permanents, at least. Not any spell from grave. Okay. They're down to 9. Let's actually go 4/4 over a 4/2 and a 2/2 here. I just think the 4/2 lines up really poorly into their 2/1 body. So let's see if we can clear the board out a little bit more with the chunkier creatures first. Liminal Hold. Well, there goes the 5/4. They get a Mutavault, so they get a 2/2 out here. Hello, Figure Fable. Incredible card is incredible. Save all of our green mana to start working on that. Block this with a 3/3 and a 4/2, and I only kill 1. Just pass through. Then they pass through. 2 green and 1 to activate Figure of Fable again. I can Bog Slither's Embrace. I don't really want to, because nothing they have is too bomby that I'll like definitely die. Yeah, I'm just gonna activate Figure and pass. Well, I mean, that works. Tragic. Shimmer Creep. 3/5 Menace. life drain's really bad, but the body's not too horrible once it's on the board, so I'm still saving the removal, I think. I should probably hold on to lands in case we hit our landfall make tree folks card. But we're just fully in a board stall here, waiting for somebody to hit something good. We have Sapling Nursery as our best draw, but Champions of the Perfect and Lewin are also really good. Okay, now I want to play this land out. Have the triple green. I'm going to be honest with you, I kind of forgot we had a second Figure of Fable. Are they going to blight onto the Mutavault to exile Figure of Fable with Bog Slitter's Embrace or something? Oh. Oh my god, no. 2 1/1s plus and plus 1 to the whole board. That is indeed a mythic. That is so big right now. At least I'm at 22. Yikes and a half. That is not the kind of bomb rare we needed them to have. We needed something that like sits there with a good ability and not something that immediately enters and has huge impact that we can't counter. That thing's got trample. Man. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10, 14, 15, 16. Take 16, gain 2. Now I just have to clear out the trampler. Four, 5 on blocks. Take 1, 2, 3, 4 from everybody else. Okay. That is a draw as well. Whoa, Arena. That was sketchy. They're dead in 2 hits. They can't do anything about the figure, so if they don't gain life and they don't kill us, then they are dead. So let's make it as unlikely as possible that they kill us by blighting Catharsis. Wickermaw, Surveil 1. And you just can't do anything about fully active Figure of Fable. My lord, that was a terrifying game. They had some real good stuff in the end there, but having 2 copies of Figure of Fable is just criminal. We needed the backup copy to win that game, but we got it, and we got there. We are 2-0 heading into Game 3. Here we are for game 3 with a depressingly unkeepable opener. If one of these was a forest, I would be in love with this hand, but as it stands, if we do not hit a forest in the first couple draws, we are sitting here doing nothing, which is not keepable. Much better mana here. We'll keep this ditching a Grove Guide. Those are supposed to get milled, not drawn. They are very bad in the opening hand. Virulent Emissary, little Death Toucher, starts the game off from our opponents. Into an Informant, they are curving out on us on the play. 1 drop into 2 drop, 4 power on the board, turn 2. We're going to take some damage here. We draw into Figure Fable. And I would rather trade safe right off early than the Figure, because that can be a win condition later. So we'll play Figure next turn and make it a 2-3. Or do I Blight Rot something? I think I just have to trade and prolong the game, because we have really strong late game cards here. Which makes me tempted to also just Blight Rot the Sprite instead, so Champions draws a card off Figure. Draw another creature. So now I could cast a creature and still have one left for Champions. I suppose the issue we're having here is if we don't top deck a land, then I'm not playing Champions next turn anyway. Yeah, I'm gonna run them out. I'm gonna get the Lifelinker here. Milled a non-land card. Cool. I guess I'm just gonna run them both out. It did mill 1 land and 1 non-land. Oh, I'm so glad I didn't Blight Rot yet, because Figure Fable is unbeatable if it gets to the final chapter, as we are well aware. Having it in our deck. They have double blue untapped here, so I don't feel great about just running out the Blight Rot. It's going to take a long time for that to get to the 7/8 stats. At some point, they will tap out of their double blue. There is a double blue counterspell in this set. So for double blue and 1, they can counter a spell. But they can also, if they Blight 2, they can counter it for just 2 blue mana, nothing else. So here's where our Dawn's Light Archer actually does play quite well. Because if we don't end up Blight Rotting, then there we go. We got the 4/2 Flash Reach. If they just hold that blue mana up forever. But they didn't. They convoked a big draw spell, and we kill the Figure Fable then. And there's their 4th mana. Play a safe right Cavalry. Big boy. Loyalist is decent here. That way, whenever we play the Archer, it is big enough to eat the Sprite. Glister Baron, never mind. They give somebody +2/+2 each turn, just keep doing that to the Sprite. They'll still trade, but it won't survive. Could I take another hit of 4 to play Champions first? I probably shouldn't. Yeah, let's not. I could play around the counterspell by jamming it now, but I play around sorcery speed removal by jamming it during their combat. Sorcery speed removal is slightly more likely generally, even if they are a blue deck, because green has sorcery speed removal in this set. If I remember right, I think the green removal is a sorcery. Unfortunately, this looks like maybe instant speed removal. Not removal, but enough to hit us here. They tap our reach creature for a turn. Yeah, that's painful. Might just get killed in the sky here. 5th mana for Grove Guide, but we don't care about Grove Guide. Do I have to chump attack with this scout just to gain a little bit of life? No, they crack back for 6. So I guess I have to chump attack next turn. If we hit our landfall card, we can't afford it till we play that land anyway. Gigantic bounce spell here. Yep. Take 6, go to 4. By bouncing the lifelinker, we are just dead. We can't find a way to deal with a flyer this turn. But we have champions drawing us some extra cards here. Give us some more chances. Okay, what do we got? That doesn't do anything. That doesn't do anything. If they don't have anything to interact with the archer, we take 2, go to 2. We're still alive. Swamp certainly doesn't do anything. Nor do the 2 extra swamps we've milled. Okay. Yeah, Champions just trades with the Death Toucher anyway. Alright, do they have a way to clear out the archer and get the final 4? Or do we survive with 2 health for 1 more turn? Okay, we're at 2 life. 1 more turn to find a way to kill the flyer. Nothing's big and scary, but we can survive it if we can blow up the flyer. Oh my god. Let's go. Reach jumpers. Yes. Yes, please. Draw a card. We are still dead to 1 removal spell. Unless I chump attack with the Scarblade Scouts. Don't think it's worth it. Another safe right cavalry. Yeah, it's going to be hard to not die on the ground if I chump attack with the scout at this point. I'm going to keep playing 4/4s they can buff up. Life-draining eulogist. Hello. It's a land. Oh my god, mill 3 rares. Moonshadow, our second figure, and Bloom Tender. Tragedy strikes. Wow, 4 life is still not enough to not chomp. Yikes. I guess the life drain from Eula just didn't actually do all that much. Oh my god. I should probably blight this so that I can upgrade Figure Fable without tapping my blocker. Yeah, let's actually blight this. Man at work. Hexproof trick. Well. Okay. It's less exciting than I wanted it to be, but this game is still going. Two more hits from dead. Huge draw. That lets me gain the life to not die. And block and trade with the Glamour Might. Get really low on cards to play this Lorwyn, but still the play. For another reach blocker, just be really defended. There is absolutely nothing they can do about Figure Fable, and now we have like 3 turns to kill them with it. Spell or creature puts it on the bottom. Okay, I still got the Pummeler. And we gained the life. Block with the Pummeler. Make the Glamour Might base power 4/4. It's fine. Doesn't trample. Oh, it gains them 1 life to not quite die yet, also. Okay. But we get another chumper here. I could have made a bunch of worms instead, but the worms don't have reach. Unless they gain 7 life. This is their last turn now to try to kill us. They convoke the tree folk. So they can hit us for 5 in the sky, but we're at 8. They have +3/+3 here. Take the 4, go to 4. Got 3 cards left in my deck. I don't think I even cast this until we see that this doesn't lethal them. It does lethal them. That was crazy close. We were 1 turn from dead even after drawing all of the reach and the life gain there with that pummeler draw that was super ideal. Really well played from our opponent. They just kind of played blue-green flyers and stuff. We're over here casting tons of great rares, and they are still competing fiercely. But Figure Fable a little too strong with the Sapling Nursery backup, and we are now 3-0 heading into Game 4. All right, as with the rest of these early access videos, we're playing till 1 hour in the recording. We're at 56 minutes right now, so this is probably the last game of Magic we'll be playing with this deck. See if we can't get a 4-0 undefeated run with it, but our opponent does start with a rare 1 mana 1/1 flyer, but they remove the counter to draw a card with it. Okay, so it's going to turn into a 2/2 and draw a card soon. Okay, that's fine. Just lead with Figure Fable. Turn 2 Dignitary, turn 3 Prey, then Informant, Mills and Elf? Does that seem reasonable? Maybe I'm supposed to go Informant into Loyalist instead. Just have a guaranteed curve here. Yeah. We got a 5-drop in hand, but I could play it off of Dignitary mana too. I'm just gonna mill that. I guess that's also my 3rd green for Figure, but again, Dignitary. Hello, champions. Man, do I want this thing to die. Loyalist and look for any hand. I mean, I could embrace to kill the Informant to get an Elf engrave for Dignitary. Oh, they're stuck on mana? Gross. And I'll just draw a 2nd Figure of Fable? Somehow even grosser. Might as well level this one up and play Dignitary now. They're already at 6. Yeah, they're stuck on mana, and we're just dropping massive threats. Thanks to Loyalist. Alright, they're discarding the hand size too. We'll play another game after this. This does not really count. Just dead to embrace. There's the concession for our opponent. That was way too fast. We will do one more game of Magic. We are 4-0 heading into game number 5. The final battle for this draft. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Another keep and pray for the best hand. Double Figure Fable. Here's another figure. Mono white so far from our opponent, starting with the Timid Shield Bearer. Well, this gets in for a damage because they're not going to block, and let me just eat it. Here is Dignitary. Reveal a Loyalist. That's the next elf we'll be playing. Mono white, triple white from our opponent. There's a Kithkin. Surveils one whenever they're playing creatures. Great draw. We hit that land. We drop that Loyalist. Pass. they blow up Loyalist before we have another elf in our grave, then technically that's good. It stops us from returning something, but it unlocks our Dignitary, which is great for us with Sapling Nursery in hand. They're not going to blow it up, though. They play another Wary Farmer to do some surveilling. I can get an elf in our grave real quick. Yeah, I do like casting rares. Coming out, Lewin. There's an elf for us. We want to draw more forests for the nursery. What is happening? Oh yeah, I need to make it a 2/3 first. That's why it's like, are you sure? Because that's not going to work. I'm trying to make it a 4/5 right now because it's not a scout yet. Okay, they pass through. Upgrade a Figure Fable. The way that the affinity worked here is awkward, to where I couldn't play it until I played the land so that it's cheap enough. But then since I played the land, I don't landfall this turn. I mean, we still just jam it. Have it at the ready. How many rares shall I play? The answer is all of them. Figure Fable, Lewin, and Sapling Nursery hanging out on this board. Well, there you go. Our opponent has a rare, Mutable Explorer. They ramp up, getting a Mutavault onto the board. It's also a creature for them in the late game. And there's a Temple Garden. See, some rare lands. It's funny, Lewin and Sapling Nursery are kind of fighting with each other. Lewin wants me to discard those lands, make a bunch of worms. Nursery wants me to play them to make a bunch of tree folk. Oh my god, dude. I shouldn't have said anything, because now I'm just drawing all my rares. A Figure of Fable, too. Gross. Don't need the second copy. Let's just get this first one up to protection from everything, and then win the game with that. Gangly Stompling. Surveil with their double farmer. And just a land for turn. They're looking a little flooded over there. Okay, we're kind of at the moment of truth here. If they have removal for Figure, this is anyone's game. If they don't, it's basically over. They didn't have removal for it, so 7 unblockable damage every turn. They can't target it with anything. I guess if they have a board wipe, that probably kills it. But they're already 2 turns from dead. Kithkeeper doesn't give lifelink at all. Yeah, they are jamming as best as they can. They see that Figure of Fable writing on the wall here. Let's just trade off with some creatures, prevent as much damage as we can, and have Figure of Fable stick around ready to kill him. Go to 14. Bring back Lewin again, that's fun. Lifelinker was probably the safer choice, but Champions is the draw. Play a Champions and a Lewin. I mean, I guess I'd just strain them for 2 instead. I mean, I can play the Lewin as well. We're at 16 life. They have to deal 16 to us, or we just hit them with 7 unblockable figure fable damage. And they just hit a land off the top. Again, that is going to be a game. Just block the biggest creatures. And wrap things up. This deck was an absolutely criminal way to end off these drafts. 2 Figure of Fable, one of the strongest rares in the entire set, along with plenty other powerful rares like the Sapling Nursery, the Champions of the Perfect, some great synergy with our green-black elf stuff, some self-mill to go with double of the Soul Ring elf. This deck had everything. It even had a fine chunk of removal going for it. I don't think your elf decks are going to get too much better than this. This was absurd stuff. Yeah, triple embrace and a blight rot for removal. Maybe a little bit low on removal, but still good chunk there. We didn't get to do much with our Bloom Tender, sadly. The one time we saw it, I think we milled it. We milled like the 3 rares together. We did have it in an opening hand with only swamps as well. So didn't get to play that, but pretty much everybody else showed up, did their job super well. This was a sick deck. Green-black elves is a fun strategy, but this was kind of just green-black bomb rares. Multiple Figure of Fable kills for sure. Sapling Nursery kills. Champions of the Perfect, drawing a ton of cards in a lot of those games. Just hugely high card quality here. Well above the average deck. Just finding a couple open colors and getting past some ridiculous rares in some packs. That is 5-0 for this final pre-release draft of Lorwyn Eclipsed, but of course, we still got one more sealed events, and then the launch of Lorwyn Eclipsed for everybody this Tuesday, and from that point on, we'll be back to our regularly scheduled videos. Tons of Lorwyn Eclipsed drafts post pre-release, just mythic ranked drafts now. We are in the mythic queues, and then some arena directs coming up for the set too. So super excited to hop into the set. I have had a lot of fun with the majority of these early access draft and sealed events. This is actually the final one I'm actually recording, even though there's one more sealed coming out for you all to see, and I have been really enjoying the set so far. I think I've only had one draft that I didn't have a good chunk of fun in, but everything else was just awesome. We played a lot of cool archetypes. We played several of the creature types. We played some really fun blight decks. The black-white blight deck might be the most fun that I have had, although, not gonna lie, it is pretty awesome just bombing people out here in green-black as well. But that's less because the synergies are particularly fun and more because the rares are great stuff. It just seems like a really, really cool format with some fun mechanics to it, as well as some simpler decks. Like, you can draft a great 2-color streamlined deck focused on your creature types, but you can also draft some splashy stuff. You can also draft some really mechanical decks that are focused on getting some great synergy with your cards together rather than just, play all the cards of one specific creature type as your synergy. You can be like, okay, I'm going to move my -1/-1 counters around and get a lot of value that way. There's a lot of cool stuff you can do in the set, it seems like. So it's definitely one I'm looking forward to diving deep into as the set launches this Tuesday and we check out what's going on in them mythic draft queues. So stay tuned for that. If you want to see more drafts, I'm going to be playing tons and tons of them. But as for now, that is going to end today's video. As always, I'd like to thank my patrons and YouTube members for their support, as well as you for watching the video. If you enjoyed it and you're interested in seeing some more, you can always like, comment, and subscribe to tell the YouTube algorithm to send you some more in the recommended feed. If you'd like to support the channel directly, you can check out the Patreon link in the description below. And other than that, as always, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again soon for some more Magic Arena.